Hello and welcome to part 5 of the video series on how to create a Unity third-person controller. In the previous videos we learned how to make the character crouch, and we also set up different speeds for different situations, like when you are running or sprinting. In this video I'm not going to add anything new, but make some adjustments and improve the third-person controller. If you remember, in the last videos we set up a ground check for our character. I actually don't like the ground check we set up, and if you know this, character controller contains a variable called isGrounded. So instead of doing our own ground check, I'm just going to use the character controller isGrounded variable. So I'm going to remove all these lines that is relevant to the ground check. And let's go down here, and I'm also going to remove undraw gizmos. And let's go further down, and here I am just going to remove this ground check method here. And the last thing we need to change is here on the update function, simply we're going to say grounded equals to controller.isGrounded. There is also one more thing adjustment that we need to do. Let's go back to our game. As you can see here, our player is selected, and if we reset the transform of our player, you'll see that it's going to go underground. But this is not an optimized way to do this. As you know, we are using a capsule for our player. The pivot of the capsule is at the center of the capsule. That's why something like this happens. So in order to solve this, I'm just going to create an empty game object. I'm going to reset the position. I'm going to select the player. Let's actually remove the character controller. I'm also going to remove the third-person controller. So it's just a simple capsule now. I'm going to drag it under this empty game object I've just created and name this one player. And this capsule is just going to be mesh. Now I'm going to increase the Y of our capsule by 1 point, and as you can see, our player's position is 0, 0, 0, and it stays on the ground. So any other mesh or humanoid character we add to this player, we could just changing that mesh and make adjustment, and the player position is just going to stay on the ground. So I'm going to add a third-person controller. I'm going to change the layer to the player, and I'm also going to set the camera collision layers here, everything except player. And if we test our game right now, you will notice that our mesh is kind of getting an offset. To solve this, we simply need to go to our character controller and set the y-axis of a center to the half of the height. The height here is 2, so half of it would be 1. And that's going to solve a problem, but we need to do it in the code. So let's go to our code, and here on the update movement, as you can see, we are setting the controller height here. So we're going to set the controller center as well. And that should do it. We also need to do the same thing for the camera to change the height of the camera. To do that, we're going to define 2 different heights for the camera. Here's the camera height. I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. This is going to be camera stand height, and this is going to be camera crouch height. Now let's go to our camera region here. Let's expand the camera region, and here I need to define the same variables I defined for height. Let's actually copy those variables. As you can see, this is the controller height. I'm just going to copy everything. Let's go to camera region, and I'm going to paste it here. And instead of controller height, I'm just going to say camera height. This is the camera height with the lowercase c, and this is the camera height with uppercase C. If it's crouched, we're just going to return camera crouch height, and if it's not, we're just going to return camera stand height. Here in the initialize camera, we are setting the camera pivot local position here. So before we do that, let's actually set the camera height here. And let's copy this line and put it in the update camera. As you can see, we are setting the camera pivot local position in every frame because it's in the update camera, and we are using camera height with lowercase c. But before we do that, we are going to set the camera height value based on if we are crouched or not. So here we're lerping the camera height with the lowercase c towards the camera height with uppercase C, which is here, is going to return whether it's crouched or not. And we are going to use the crouch speed to lerp these values. Now let's go back and check the result. Now if I hit the C key, it's going to change the bounds of our character controller. Let me zoom in a little bit. And if I hit C again, it's going to stand and crouch. Also, you might have noticed the camera is going to change with that. So that's it for now. We made some adjustment and the game got a lot better. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you had any questions, make sure to leave a comment or send me an email. Thank you for watching.